It was October, and the annual town haunted house attraction was the talk of the town. Every year, the old Henderson mansion, abandoned for decades, was transformed into the scariest attraction around. This year, they promised it would be the most terrifying experience yet. How could I resist? The night was cold, the wind howled, and the moon was barely visible behind thick clouds. Perfect for a haunted house visit, I thought. I arrived with a group of friends, eager to see what the hype was about. The line was long, but the atmosphere was electric. People whispered about the new additions to the mansion this year, lifelike animatronics, new rooms to explore, and rumors of a live actor who'd jump out when you least expected it. Once inside, the eerie ambiance was palpable. The dim lighting, the cold drafts, the distant screams of other visitors. Everything seemed perfectly staged. The first few rooms were the usual fare: jump scares, creepy dolls, and ghostly apparitions. But as we delved deeper, things began to feel off. In one room, the walls seemed to close in on us, and the temperature dropped significantly. My friend Clara whispered, "Did you hear that? It sounded like someone crying." I brushed it off, assuming it was just part of the experience. But as we continued, the unsettling occurrences increased. Doors would slam shut behind us, trapping us in rooms for minutes on end. The lifelike animatronics seemed to follow our every move with their eyes. The line between reality and the attraction blurred. Then, we entered a room that looked like an old nursery. In the center was a crib with a doll inside. As I approached, the doll sat up and stared right at me. Its eyes, impossibly real, filled with tears. I backed away, my heart pounding. Suddenly the lights went out, plunging us into complete darkness. Panic ensued. My friends and I clung to each other, trying to find an exit. When the lights flickered back on, one of my friends, Jake, was gone. We called out to him, but there was no response. We decided to split up and search. As I ventured alone, the true horror of the mansion revealed itself. I stumbled upon a room filled with photographs. In the dimly lit room, walls were adorned with old black and white photographs. Upon closer inspection, the images depicted visitors from previous years. But these weren't the cheerful group photos you'd expect. They were candid shots, taken without their knowledge, each person looking more terrified than the last. I recognized some faces, locals who had mysteriously disappeared over the years. My heart raced as I realized the gravity of our situation. This wasn't just a haunted house attraction. It was something far more sinister. The creaking of a floorboard behind me made me spin around. Standing there was the rumored live actor, but something was amiss. His eyes were hollow, his skin gray and tattered. It dawned on me that he wasn't an actor at all, but a tormented spirit bound to the mansion. He pointed to a photograph on the table. It was a picture of Jake, taken just moments ago, his face contorted in fear. Below the photo was a date, and it was today's. I realized that every year, one visitor became a permanent resident of the mansion. Desperation took over. I needed to find my friends and escape. As I navigated the labyrinthine corridors, ghostly apparitions whispered warnings, urging me to leave while I still could. After what felt like hours, I finally found Clara. We decided that our best chance was to head to the main entrance. Every step we took, the mansion seemed to fight back. Shifting hallways, spectral figures blocking our path, and chilling winds that seemed to come from nowhere. As we approached the grand entrance, the door creaked open, revealing the outside world. We sprinted out, gasping for air, not stopping until we reached the safety of the main road. The mansion stood eerily silent in the distance. The next day, local authorities searched the Henderson mansion. There was no sign of Jake or any of the horrors we witnessed. The photographs, the rooms, even the animatronics were all gone. The mansion was just as abandoned as it had always been. But every year, around October, locals report seeing lights inside the mansion and hearing distant screams. And every year, someone goes missing after visiting the haunted house attraction. I know the truth about the Henderson mansion, but no one believes me. I've moved far away, but the memories haunt me. And every October, I receive a photograph in the mail, a candid shot of me taken that fateful night with a note, "You were lucky this time."
The Harvest Moon Hayride, was the highlight of our town's Halloween festivities. Every year, the Johnson farm would host this event, taking visitors on a tractor-pulled hayride through their sprawling cornfields. This year, they advertised a special route to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the hayride, and I couldn't resist checking it out. I arrived just after sunset, the orange and purple hues of twilight setting the perfect backdrop. Families and groups of friends excitedly climbed onto the hay-filled trailers, ready for a night of spooky fun. As our tractor began its journey, an actor dressed as the Headless Horseman galloped beside us, his pumpkin head flaming in the dark. Children squealed in delight, and everything seemed as it should be. However, as we ventured deeper into the cornfields, the atmosphere shifted. The path became narrower, and the tall cornstalks seemed to close in on us. The playful scares from actors were fewer and farther between, replaced by an unsettling silence. Suddenly, the tractor came to a halt. Ahead, the path was blocked by a scarecrow, taller and more lifelike than any I'd ever seen. Its face was a grotesque mask of stitched leather, with hollow eyes that seemed to peer into one's soul. The driver, Mr. Johnson, seemed as perplexed as us. "This wasn't here earlier," he murmured, climbing down to remove the obstruction. But as he approached the scarecrow, it lurched to life, grabbing him. Panic erupted. Some tried to flee, but the surrounding cornfield was disorienting in the dark. From the depths of the field, we heard whispers and rustling. More scarecrows emerged, their movements unnaturally swift. It became clear that these weren't actors or regular scarecrows. They were something else, something malevolent. Remembering my pocket flashlight, I shone it towards the closest scarecrow. The light seemed to repel it, causing it to recoil. A plan formed. Rallying those around me, we formed a circle, using our phones and flashlights as barriers. Slowly, we made our way back to the start, keeping the scarecrows at bay with our makeshift ring of light. Reaching the farm, we were met by police and concerned locals. It turned out the special route had taken us to an abandoned section of the farm, long believed to be cursed. The Johnsons were horrified, having no knowledge of the scarecrows or their sinister intentions. The event was shut down, and the cursed field sealed off. To this day, no one knows who or what those scarecrows were, or why they targeted the hayride. But one thing is for certain, I'll never look at a scarecrow the same way again.
Every Halloween, our small town had a tradition, the Midnight Walk. It was a guided tour through the woods surrounding our town, led by a local historian. The walk would revisit the scenes of real, albeit ancient, unsolved mysteries and crimes from our town's past. It was eerie, but it had always been harmless fun, until this year. I decided to join the walk for the first time with a couple of friends, Sarah and Alex. We met at the town square, where about 20 others had gathered. As the clock struck midnight, our guide, an elderly man named Mr. Collins, lit a lantern and began the tour. The first few stops were the usual tales of strange disappearances and unexplained phenomena. But as we delved deeper into the woods, the stories grew darker. We arrived at a clearing with an old, dilapidated shack. Mr. Collins began recounting the tale of Samuel Gray, a hermit who lived there over a century ago. Rumors had it that Samuel was responsible for the disappearances of several children in the town, though nothing was ever proven. As Mr. Collins spoke, we noticed a light flickering inside the shack. Assuming it was part of the tour, Sarah, Alex, and I decided to take a closer look. Pushing the creaking door open, we were met with a horrifying sight. Inside was a makeshift shrine with photographs of children. Some were old and faded, while others were recent. Shockingly, among them, we spotted pictures of children from our town who had gone missing over the past year. Panicking, we rushed out to inform Mr. Collins, but he was nowhere to be found. The group was in disarray. Some thought it was a sick prank, while others believed the legend of Samuel Gray might be true. Suddenly, a chilling voice echoed through the woods. "You shouldn't have come here." Out of the shadows stepped a man. Not old like Samuel would have been, but middle-aged. He was dressed in old-fashioned clothing, his face obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. The group scattered in fear. Sarah, Alex, and I stuck together, running blindly through the dense woods. The man pursued us, his knowledge of the forest evident as he seemed to appear everywhere, cutting off our escape routes. We finally stumbled upon an old well. Without thinking, we hid inside, praying he wouldn't find us. Moments later, we heard his footsteps. He stopped and the well's cover slid over, plunging us into darkness. We were trapped. Hours seemed to pass. The cold, damp air of the well made it hard to breathe, but the silence outside gave us hope that he might have left. Mustering the courage, Alex managed to push the well's cover slightly ajar, allowing us to climb out. We navigated our way back to town using our phones as torches. Reaching safety, we immediately informed the police. They searched the woods and the shack, finding evidence of the man's sinister activities. But the man himself was never found. It turned out that he was a descendant of Samuel Gray, obsessed with his ancestors' dark legacy. He had been the one behind the recent disappearances, trying to continue what Samuel had started. The Midnight Walk was discontinued, and our town's dark past became all too real for its residents. While we were relieved to have escaped, the knowledge that the man was still out there, lurking in the shadows, haunted our dreams.